All right, I'm going to walk you through essentially step by step my personalized outreach strategy. This is how I generate a good chunk of my clients. And I generated this actually in 2021. I was living in an RV, traveling the country full time. I didn't have the capacity to travel to like networking events and to meet people in person anymore. And I didn't really have like an active like YouTube channel or anything like that to draw from. And so I wanted to use social media and I wanted to do it in a way where I tore down the wall and actually built relationships with people. And really created the strategy. I got one idea from another consultant about creating a customized video for someone. And I kind of took that, but then everything else I just kind of created on my own and I ran with it. And then I found a lot of people started copying this as well. And I found this approach is really important and even more relevant now with the world of AI and how often we're all bombarded with random messages from strangers. How do you really build a connection with someone quickly so that you're not having to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, a lot of messages, but you're actually escalating a conversation that can lead to clients in a way that's not salesy, that's personalized, that shows that like I am taking the time to get to know you without an agenda. And how do you go about building that? I'm going to walk you through how I do it here. I use LinkedIn for this. But you could really use it on any platform. This certainly would work on Facebook, would work on Instagram. But LinkedIn is my jam. And so we're going to talk about how to do it today on LinkedIn so that you can go out and attract more clients without being pushy, slimy, and weird about it. All right. So let's dig in. All right. Step one, the first thing that I'm looking at is I want to build a tribe. And I like to first of all think of it like this: 50, 20, 10, 5. 50 people that I am paying attention to their content. Ideally, like I'm commenting on them, but at least 50 that I actually like. And we're going to hit on this a little bit when we get to the tribe and really identify what that is. 50, 20, 10, 5. 20 people that I have ongoing like a DM conversation with. Like I'm going back and forth. When I say ongoing, they're actually responding to me. So if they stop responding, they drop to 19. I need to get one more person to go into the 20. And then 10 people I have conversations I'm lining up, and then 5 people that might be interested in working with me. And I found as long as I keep these ratios going, my business stays healthy. So to get to the 50, when I talk about my tribe, what I'm really talking about are people that I actually enjoy their content. Now on LinkedIn, there's a wide variety of people, most of which do not post at all. You can certainly still reach out to them, and I've had results reaching out and actually having them want to work with me. But if they're not posting content, think about what that signals to you. They're not active on this platform, or they might be, but they're mostly lurking. And so are they going to be more responsive to you? Are they going to be less responsive to you? So the first thing that I look at is not only how active they are on the platform, but if they are they posting not just the topics that I like, but do I like the person doing the posting? So I'll actually check out that person's content. And if you're wondering like where to find these people, there's multiple avenues. The first and most obvious is to take one person you already like. Think about not just who your ideal client is, but think about what they stand for, what their values are. Think about the shared values of these people. Now you're starting to put together a tribe. This isn't just, it's all taxidermists in New York. That's my tribe. That's not a tribe. That's people that all share the same location and title. A tribe is people that all care about the same things. They care about the same things that you care about. And so ask yourself, who is one person I know that might be similar to my ideal client? Doesn't matter if you've worked with them or not. It could even be a friend that shares the same values as you. Start with them, pull up their content, and then see who is commenting on their content. Those are likely going to be connected to your tribe, people that care about the same things. And then you would add them to your network. Or you can pull up their profile and then look on that right panel and you see similar people there on the right. That's another great resource for you. You can also search for posts. And so let's say you care about, you help, let's say you work with executives, right? And so that's your people. Well, you can also search for like authentic executive as a post and then see who is posted about that. And then maybe that person is part of your tribe. You can finally search for events and see who's attending events that your tribe might be interested in. So there's lots of ways to find these people. It really is just limited to your creativity. And think of it like a snowball. The more you get going initially, the more easier it is to find more and more people that belong to your tribe. So that's the first step. And then step two, after I've got about 50 people that I feel like, can at least resonate with the tribe, or at least a starting point, maybe realistically it's like 10 to 20, but you want to ultimately get to 50. Then I start looking at their content, and then I start commenting on their content. And I'm not doing that in a transactional way or in an AI way where I type the post in and have like Claude spit out something. Don't do that. The algorithm also is trying to suppress that. You don't want to do that. Very bad. Instead, I want to give an actual authentic, insightful comment. And so the way that I do it, I actually will read their post out loud and then really in the moment, like react out loud to what it is they're saying. And then I find like whatever I say out loud is usually what the comment needs to be. It's the most authentic and least time consuming way to do it. You're just training yourself to just spontaneously, authentically react to the content. And what you say is going to be more interesting, more human, more dynamic than everyone else that's just saying, great job, great post. You can also highlight what it is about that post that you like about the person that makes them different. And that's how to really show up on their radar. So it's not just like, hey, I agree, or yeah, I like what you're saying. It's you're exuding these values, which I resonate with, which are rare. Not everyone has that going for them. Notice it creates a shared affinity. It's like you're already saying, hey, we're in the same tribe without you coming across salesy at all. This is psychologically really powerful. And the reason it is because it just opens up that trust really quickly with someone. So I would comment at least once or even 2 to 3 times, and then I would send that person a connection request. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom into someone that's already connected to me and show you how I would then transition that to a call. Here's a great example of someone. I'm gonna blur their face and their name for the sake of anonymity, and also maybe some details here in the chat. I noticed, first of all, this person checked out my profile. So I'm commenting on that's a good signal. It means that they may be either interested in hiring you at some point, or at the very least, they're curious about you. And then what I'm doing is I'm not just jumping into the business of it. I'm talking about something I pick up on their profile. Like, hey, like you're in Michigan. We still haven't been to Michigan. We traveled America for a few years in an RV, and it wasn't on our 29 states, but I've heard it's beautiful. And so now she's responding to that. And so she's the one that's talking about, content. She's talking about what it is that I do, which is nice. I didn't volunteer it. She is. And so we're getting some good information here. Now notice, not everyone's going to volunteer like this level of information. This is a lot. Like this shows me like what she's challenged with, what the latest is for her in her journey. But notice this started with an authentic connection. This started with us connecting, having some comments back and forth. First, she was commenting on my content, I was commenting on hers. It's warming up the dynamic, right? So you can see how all this starts to tie together and how it impacts how open someone is as well. Now, I'm going to actually respond to what she's saying, right? I'm not just plowing through it. I'm listening in the conversation, even though it's text, and I'm responding to her there. And I'm not just prying for a pain point. I'm also saying like, what are you doing that's helping most? Right? So there's genuine curiosity. And I even say, I'm curious to hear more. I'm not angling towards something. I'm widening the different things we can talk about. So we've already talked about Michigan. We've already talked about where she is in her business. We're talking about what's not working potentially. She's offered that. And now I'm asking her, well, what is working? So there's all these different channels that you're talking with people on. And then she later said, yep, here's what I've been through. Here's what's helping me the most right now. Here's a little bit more about me and my work. And you'll find that people, when you have real rapport, will open up and tell you like more and more about them. This is a sign that you have an actual connection. They don't feel there's an agenda from you. Now I'm going to start to direct the conversation. I love the real conversations. That's awesome. There's a lot to navigate. I resonate with this. I'm speaking to a fair number of coaches who are recognizing what happens when we falter under pressure as well. It seems to be a trending topic. But since she's opened up this much with me, and since I haven't made a request from her yet, haven't made like a withdrawal at the bank, I've deposited time, I've deposited attention, I've deposited listening, I've deposited love in a sense, by commenting back on her stuff. I've now earned the ask to escalate from the DM up one level. Now this is key because what I find here is that a lot of people just want to go right for the call, and you can do that. And you'll have people that do say, sure, but it's a bigger leap. Going from the DMs to a call is a very big leap. But we're at text, which is like the lowest resolution channel, meaning it's the least amount of information I can get from you in text. It's the least amount of information you can get from me. Like you don't know my tone of voice here. You don't know, like my intent behind what I'm saying. It's colder if it's just text. So I want to get it off text. I want to go up a level. And so you could either share a voice note here, or in my case, I share a video. And I love video because you get to see more of me on camera. You get to see more of what I sound like. You get to hear me. You get to hear my energy. You get to hear more of my intent. You get to hear how transactional I am, how real I am, how authentic I am, how like templated my advice or insight would be for her, how much I'm taking the time to actually dig into her world. All that comes through really quickly in this little 5-minute video. And that's why I love videos. And at the end of the video, I make a request to then have a call with me. So we'll see how that plays out. But I see like right away, like, hey, there's a few things that like you can tweak to help it resonate in an even higher level. Like, do you want me to point them out for you? Now, if you're a coach and you don't have the benefit of actually looking at someone's, like their profile and their content, it's not like readily available evidence. You can always ask them a question that from your coaching sessions can reveal a lot about where they are. And then you can use that as an insight. So maybe they're in business, maybe they're a founder, for example, and they lead lots of people. And you can ask them like, hey, when it comes to the way that you've been trying to raise money so far, what's been showing up for you? What's been working? What hasn't? And then they start to tell you a little bit. And in your experience, you can tell when someone has the confidence to go out and get money, when they have the congruence to go out and get money, when they have the belief in themselves and their business. You can hear it in what they're saying. And now if you're also like converting the text into a voice note, and then you're offering a voice note, you're like, hey, so man, like tell me, how is this going for you? And now you'll find that they often answer back in a voice note. And now you have more detail to work with. And so there's lots of things you can do to kind of get this information. I wouldn't recommend just kind of leading with what's been your biggest challenge with this, because most people won't volunteer that. But if you earn that question over time, then they're more likely to actually answer. I made a request. Would you want me to put this together in a video for you? She said, absolutely. I appreciate that very much. You got it. Boom. I make it for her. There it is. And then now she watches it. And at the end, I invite her onto a call. She says, I'm just about to step out the door for a big dinner. You made me feel something. You embody what I coach. I can feel your coherence loudly and clear. This is what I stand for. Know thyself, live in it. And then she was talking about some of the stuff that I asked her in the call. I would really love a chat with you. All right. Now she's voiced, like, I'll be honest, like I don't have the budget to that. And I respected that in the conversation. I respected it because the goal with this 50, 20, 10, 5 thing isn't like, I need each person to be my next client. It's now we're taking the conversation from lowest resolution bandwidth, LinkedIn text to video to a conversation. So I'm escalating it up along the way. And this is such a great example of not everyone is going to be an immediate, like, yes, I'll be a client. And that's okay. Because if you keep setting up these conversations, I'm building a relationship with. She can end up being a friend. She can end up being someone that refers me to people. She could be someone that's continuing to follow my content. When the time is right, she's like, okay, now I'm ready to work with you. But because I'm not angling towards something right now, all of those possibilities are still open. So keep this all in mind when you are prospecting. If you know how to escalate along these lines, you can get people to actually hop on a call with you and not just be like, okay, like, sure, like I'll have a call, but like actually be excited, looking forward to want to talk to you, people that are complete strangers. So use this in your business, have fun, and I'll see you in the next video.